President Sisi meets Sultan Mufaddal Saifuddin, leader of India's Bohra community, and his sons in Cairo. WHO, Egypt and UK sign £1 million deal to support Gaza evacuees' medical care. And Egyptian expats' remittances hit $17.1 billion in the second half of 2024, up from $9.4 billion year on year. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received Sultan Mufaddal Saifuddin, the spiritual leader of the Bohra community in India, along with his sons Prince Jafar al-Sadiq Amaduddin, Prince Taha Najmuddin and Prince Hussein Burhanuddin, in the presence of Mufaddal Muhammad, the Sultan's representative in Cairo. During the meeting, President Sisi praised the commendable efforts of the Bohra community in restoring and renovating the shrines of Ahlul Bayt and several historic mosques in Egypt. He also expressed appreciation for the community's developmental and charitable initiatives in Egypt in cooperation with the Tahya Misr Fund. WHO Egypt has signed a £1 million fund agreement with the UK government to provide high-quality medical care for Gaza evacuees in Egypt. This agreement builds on an initial £1 million grant, bringing the total UK contribution to £2 million. The project will focus on providing care across 170 hospitals in 24 Egyptian governorates, with a specific focus on trauma care. Since November 2023, Egypt has treated thousands of Gaza evacuees, with WHO providing medical supplies and training to over 2,000 health workers. The partnership also advocates for the protection of healthcare in Gaza and an immediate ceasefire. Lieutenant General Osama Rabia, chairman of the Suez Canal Authority, has met with Argentine ambassador to Cairo, Holger Martinson, to discuss enhancing bilateral cooperation. Rabia expressed Egypt's commitment to strengthening ties with Argentina, particularly in economic and maritime sectors, and highlighted the Suez Canal Authority's expertise in logistics, dredging, and maritime services. Ambassador Martinson praised the strategic importance of the Suez Canal for global trade and suggested further cooperation, particularly in maritime safety and emergency response systems. Both sides emphasized the potential for mutual benefits through the exchange of expertise. The Grand Egyptian Museum, the GEM, has formalized a partnership with the Japan International Cooperation Agency, the JICA, to advance Egyptology research and professional training. This collaboration focuses on three main areas: conducting research on GEM's collection, preserving and restoring artifacts, and launching specialized training programs for knowledge exchange across Egypt and the MENA region. GEM's CEO Ahmed Ghanem emphasized that the partnership will enhance museum's role as a center of excellence in archaeology. JICA has previously supported GEM with a 34.8 billion Japanese yen loan and contributed $800 million to the project. The museum, located near the Giza pyramids, is set to officially open on July 3rd and houses over 100,000 artifacts, including King Tutankhamun's treasures. Egypt, Jordan and Saudi Arabia are collaborating on a joint water, energy, food ecosystem nexus project focused on using desalination technology to boost intensive food production. Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation Hani Swaylam announced the initiative during the 7th Arab Water Week in Jordan. Swaylam highlighted the role of desalination in addressing the region's growing water and water challenges. The project aims to harness the shared expertise of the three countries and promote cooperation through partnerships with institutions like the Inter-Islamic Network on Water Resources Development and Management. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli held a meeting to follow up on the steps related to facilitating the entry procedures for tourists at all airports and various entry points. Madbouli confirmed that the state is working according to a plan aimed at doubling the number of incoming tourists. Prime Minister stressed the necessity for tourists arriving in Egypt to feel a real and tangible change in all the procedures followed within the airports and various entry points, starting from obtaining their visa through their arrival at the airport and then their departure. Cairo International Airport has experienced significant year-on-year growth in April 2025 with 2.62 million passengers and 18,966 flights landed. Outbound traffic saw a 12% increase in passengers and an 8% rise in flights compared to April 2024, while inbound traffic grew by 7% in volume with 1.34 million arriving passengers. In tandem with this growth, Egypt's tourism sector reported a 25% increase in tourist arrivals for Q1 2025 with 3.9 million visitors. Minister of Tourism Sharif Fathi announced plans to add 18,000 hotel rooms this year and launched a new international marketing campaign to boost tourism, projecting an 8% rise in visitors by the end of 2025. The Central Bank of Egypt announced that remittances from Egyptian working abroad reached $17.1 billion during the period from July to December 2024 compared to $9.4 billion in the same period of the previous year. The Central Bank also noted that tourism revenues reached $8.7 billion from July to December 2024, up from $7.8 billion in the same period last year. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli held talks with delegation from the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development to discuss the bank's plans to support various sectors of the Egyptian economy in the coming period. The Prime Minister emphasized that cooperation with the bank has resulted in an expanded project portfolio in Egypt, with the majority of investment directed towards financing and supporting the private sector. He added that in 2024, Egypt became the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development's largest country of operations in the southern and eastern Mediterranean region for the 7th consecutive year. Minister of Planning Rania Al-Mashat noted that the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development's continued investment in Egypt reflects deep confidence in the country's economic trajectory and the resilience of its private sector, with over 13.8 billion euros invested in Egypt's economy since 2012. More than 86% of it's directed to the private sector. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development is a significant strategic partner. Rania Al-Mashat, Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, reaffirmed during a high-level meeting in Cairo on Monday. In 2023 alone, the bank invested approximately £86 billion in Egypt and intends to expand its engagement in key areas including the green economy, digital transformation and gender-inclusive finance. Egypt's foreign assets in the banking sector have risen for the third consecutive month, reaching $15.04 billion in March, an increase of approximately 47% 5% compared to $10.2 billion in February, according to data from the Central Bank of Egypt. This increase marks a continuation of the recovery following a significant decline in net foreign assets for 3 consecutive months. In December, net foreign assets stood at $5.2 billion, down from $10.3 billion in September, a period that saw seasonal pressures on foreign currency and higher demand for the US dollar. Farmers across Egypt have started the wheat harvest season known as yellow gold, a crucial crop for global food security. The Egyptian cabinet has emphasized the state's commitment to increasing local wheat production and securing strategic reserves through agricultural expansion and storage projects. These efforts are part of a broader strategy to enhance food security and self-sufficiency in key commodities. The government is focused on expanding agricultural land, improving crop yields, and developing modern silos to reduce waste and ensure crop quality, ultimately stabilizing the local market. Egypt ready-made garment exports saw a notable increase in the first quarter of 2025, rising by 24% to reach $812 million, up from $656 million in the same period last year. According to the latest data from the Apparel Export Council of Egypt, February exports surged 35% to $276 million, up from $205 million in 2024, while January saw an 11% increase to $274 million. The U.S. remained the largest market with a 12% rise to $299 million, while Europe grew by 43%, reaching $206 million. Exports to Arab countries rose to 49% to $148 million, and exports to non-Arab African nations grew by 121%. Other global markets also saw a 49% increase, reflecting widespread growth across regions. Egyptian exchange indices posted collective losses at the close of Monday's trading session on the back of selling operations by Arab institutions, as well as Arab and local investors against purchases by local and foreign institutions and foreign investors. The market capital lost nearly £15 billion to close at £2.283 trillion after transactions that hit approximately £32.3 billion. The EGX 30 benchmark index went down by 0.43%. The broader EGX 70 index of the leading small and mid-cap enterprises decreased by 0.06%. The all-embracing EGX 100 index dropped by 0.2%. Egypt U20 national team will face their Tanzanian counterparts at 9 p.m. next Friday at the Suez Canal Authority Stadium in the fourth round of the group stage of the continental tournament qualifying for the World Cup. Egypt's previous match against Zambia ended in a goalless draw last Saturday as part of the third round of the U20 Africa Cup of Nations. Egypt has kicked off its first official e-football clubs championship, marking a major step into the competitive world of esports. Organized by the Egyptian Electronic Sports Federation, the EESF, in collaboration with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the tournament features 25 clubs and begins qualifiers this month, with finals set for July. Youth and Sports Minister Ashraf Subhi described the initiative as a big step towards engaging youth in new forms of sports and job creation. He hinted at expanding the tournament to mirror the Egyptian Football League's structure in the future. The EESF head, Sharif Abdul Baqi, said the event will help nurture local talents, many of whom lack support to compete abroad. The move follows growing global recognition of e-football, especially after the first World Championship held in Saudi Arabia in 2024. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin. Here is what we've been covering. President Sisi meets Sultan Mufaddal Saifuddin, leader of India's Bohra community, and his in Cairo. WHO, Egypt and UK signed £1 million deal to support Gaza evacuees' medical care. And Egyptian expat remittances hit $17.1 billion in the second half of 2024, up from $9.4 billion year on year. Well, that's all for now. Remember to stay updated by following Qnews for the latest developments. Many thanks for watching.